Today we're looking at the long-awaited System51 from Swatch. As I'm sure a lot of you remember, Swatch released the cheap plastic quartz watches 30-some years ago that, in large part, rescued many watch brands from bankruptcy. Well, the System51 echoes that disruption with a completely machine-assembled automatic wristwatch. Like its quartz predecessor, it's made of 51 parts and retailing for an affordable price. Whether you grew up with Swatch watches yourself or you're a mechanical watch nut who appreciates affordable automatics, the System51 is a watch you'll have a lot of fun with. Usually I start by talking about a watch's more superficial features, since these are the first ones to seduce a watch lover. But I want to do it backwards this time for the System51, as the movement is what really makes this watch special. The 19-joule self-winding mechanical movement inside the System51 is entirely machine-assembled, a tremendous industrial achievement, and has 17 patents pending. When you consider the hundreds of tiny parts that make up your average watch movement, you equate full automation with magic. How did Swatch do that? Swatch had to deconstruct and simplify these engines before they could be produced by robots. Using only 51 parts, the 5 modules of the movement are held in position by a single screw. Its balance wheel and escapement are constructed of anti-magnetic materials. What's also really neat is that the watch is regulated by a laser on the assembly line to achieve an accuracy of plus or minus 10 seconds per day. While much of the innovation behind the System51's movement is not tangibly delivered to the customer in terms of a better product, there is one killer feature: the 90-hour power reserve. When you turn the case over, you can see the System51 movement through its clear plastic caseback. The entire movement is decorated in a hypnotic pattern, which is kind of a playful reference to all that spinning going on behind the dial that keeps the watch alive. Of course, the all-important screw holding everything together sits polished in the middle of the spinning circular rotor, and it's this sun-like screw implementation that serves as a design inspiration throughout the rest of the watch, explaining much of the celestial aesthetic echoed throughout the dial. As much as Swatch says the front tells the time and the back tells the story, I actually find the visuals on the face of the watch to be equally strong metaphors for the movement. The dial also bears an astronomical vibe. On the black model, there's a notion of planets in their solar system rotating around the center of the dial, the sun, an allusion to the single screw holding the movement's modules together and around which the rotor spins to wind the mainspring. The more colorful options have constellation patterns instead, and all models here have this round date aperture at 3 o'clock. One look at the case is all you need to know it's a Swatch. From the crystal to the body, it's entirely plastic with a step lug design, measuring 42 millimeters wide, 13.5 millimeters thick, with a lug-to-lug distance of 51 millimeters. Of course, the color of the case depends on the model, and you can opt for any or all of the 4 versions: black, white, red, and blue. The hermetically sealed case cannot be opened, so regulation and repairs aren't possible. Should any problems arise, you're supposed to throw away the broken one and purchase a new one. At $35, that makes sense, but I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that when the watch costs $150. It depends, I suppose, on how long the watch lasts before it breaks down. Although Swatch's warranty lasts for 2 years, they claim a perfectly good System51 should last about 20. All System51s come on a synthetic strap except for the black version, which rides on a soft leather. The synthetic is more immediately comfortable and feels more Swatch to me, although the black is the more conservative and versatile of the colorways. Its measurements put it slightly larger than your average Swatch, but still the System51 wears modestly. Being plastic, it's light, and if you're accustomed to wearing heavy mechanicals like I am, then you'll easily forget you have it on, except for you'll hear it winding when you swing your wrist. It's loud, and it really screams when you manually wind it. See, you can hear. Its 90-hour power reserve makes this watch a practical winner, especially for collectors who don't own a lot of watches. If you love to rotate through a large collection, then you'll probably always find yourself winding the watch and correcting the time and date. But if you only have a couple of watches, the System51 might just be running still when you put it back in the box for a couple days and pick it up. For new collectors not accustomed to mechanical watches, this does ease the transition. Retailing for $150, it's almost a no-brainer to skip the scrutiny here and pick one up. However, in a review like this, it's worth mentioning that the end product itself, a self-winding mechanical watch, is competitively priced with well-known alternatives from brands like Orient and Seiko, although it's aesthetically in a completely different league. It's very Swatch, you know. If you have any memory of the Swatch craze 30 years ago, then you'll probably be very inclined to buy one, if for no other reason than as a collector's item. Assuming your purchase carries not a sliver of nostalgia, then choosing the System51 over any competitively priced automatic is mostly a matter of taste, although there are some technical considerations. First, and to give credit to the Swatch watch, Orient and Seiko don't sell watches for $150 that also feature 90-hour power reserves. On the flip side, the System51 is a brand new, completely machine-assembled movement, which means that it's unproven and unserviceable. I touch on this more in the written review, but I do think it's more the manufacturing process that's revolutionary, perhaps even more so than the movement itself. It's not Swatch's first automatic, and it's not the most reliable or affordable one on the market today. So I think the technical achievement is likely to be lost on mainstream watch buyers, which absolutely was not the case with the original plastic Swatch watches. Still, for $150, it's a lot of fun and you can't really go wrong picking one up. Whether you see it or not, it's going to be an important part of watchmaking history in the future.